I'm RavingSaint, and this is Dark Souls 3. And keeping with the little project I had going, today will be another series or episode, whatever you want to call it. Before I launch into what I want the theme of our episode to be, we're going to do, well, we're going to meet somebody.
Oh. Pardon me, I was absorbed in thought. I am Zeke Meyer of Katarina. To be honest, I'm in a bit of a pickle. Have you ever walked near a white birch only to be struck by a great arrow?
I can't say that I have.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, they come from this tower. Whoever it is, I'm sure I can talk some sense into them. But I have to find a way up, and that's just the trouble. This lift only goes down, you see, and... Well, that doesn't get me anywhere. This lift only goes down. But you know, with a little warming up, eventually... No. I've got to use my head and think.
Indeed. Poor Zigward, let's maybe give him a hand. Ouch. Seems like I've made a mistake. I've made quite a mistake indeed. So, while I try to figure out how to get myself out of this pickle, I want to talk today about people, just like we met poor Zigward. I forget. I get confused because there was a character from Dark Souls 1 named Zeke Meyer, who I was well, people are important in Dark Souls 3. Or any of the Dark Souls game, rather. You're so used to everything trying to kill you that eventually it's just a breath of fresh air whenever you meet something that's not trying to kill you. And, I mean, I don't really know why I would need to illustrate that. Oh my goodness, I'm making a mess of things. Well, if I'm going to make a mess of things... pardon me. If I'm going to make a mess of things, I might as well just do it in glorious fashion. Don't mind me while I kill these things. Yeah, see, look, everything's trying to kill you, and it is nice to have people not trying to kill you, like Zigward just demonstrated earlier. In fact, he actually asked for your help. Oop. And a little help is what I could use indeed. Ow! Well, streamer's curse indeed. Let's... What the... Oh, man. Come on. I did not deserve that for 1 second. Anyway, so we meet Zigward, a person, or Onion Knight, as other people like to call him. Zigward, who's in a bit of a pickle. He needs help. And, you know, he's not the only one you'll meet on your Dark Souls journey. There are plenty of other scoundrels and rogues and people in need of your aid or offering to aid you. Some better than others. What is going on here? Ouch. Huh. I distinctly remember him trying to use a saw. And I think kind of a bit of a change from the original Dark Souls, at least, is that characters, the NPCs that you meet, there's a little bit more fluidity, choices in, or rather possibilities as to their fates. In the original Dark Souls, a lot of the characters, their fates were pretty much set in stone, and that's not necessarily the case in Dark Souls 3, which I guess I should have warned spoilers, but I won't say more beyond that, other than the fact that whatever choices you make, whatever actions you do, can have consequences for the friendly or semi-friendly NPCs that you meet on your journey. What are you doing here?
This lift, with a little... I've got...
I just demonstrated for you. Ah, well. Oh, dear. Well, looks like we're going to have to wait for this lift again. Anyway, so... We demonstrate to Zeke Meyer, Zigward, I'm sorry, Zigward, how to use a lift, which is a kind of a puzzle. It took me a while to figure it out. And then we meet him again.
Ah, oh, don't disappear like that. You had me downright worried. But thanks to you, an epiphany has struck me square in the head. I've unraveled the riddle of this inscrutable lift.
Yes.
On some days I begin to doubt myself. I went up the tower, so I thought, then somehow ended up here. I'm not exactly sure what happened. Anyhow, do you see that? That humongous beast? I'm no coward and I've a steady hand, but that thing makes my skin crawl. How now? Think twice before you go down that road.
Indeed.
I could try talking some sense into him.
Good luck with that.
No, I think not. He's far too overheated. I've got to use my head and think.
Now, you've got to hand it to the creators of Dark Souls 3. I feel that the characters in this current installation of Dark Souls, they have a lot more personality to them. They're not just a bunch of, you know, NPC number 42 waiting at your shrine Nexus area. So kudos on them for that. However, there's a lot of ambiguity to these characters. You don't necessarily know all their backstories. This isn't a BioWare game. You don't get to find out all the ins and outs of the characters. You know just a little bit enough about them. At least, you know, just to get the hang idea of what their personality is like. Zeke Meyer, sorry, I've done that too many times. Zigward, to me, he kind of represents the Knight Solaire of the original Dark Souls, this bumbling jolly man who needs help. And
No! You should have waited! Well, it's too late now. I, Zeke Meyer of the Knights of Katarina, fight by your side! Ah!
Are indeed. Oh my. You know, didn't exactly work. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I get my name screwed up.
That was quite a performance, but you mustn't get in over your head. We unkindled must put our duties first. But, for the moment, we've a toast to make. To your valor, my sword, and our victory together. Long may the sun shine.
Oh man. Oh, Zeke Meyer. Zigward. Keep getting those names screwed up. Yes, a toast indeed.
Well, I'm going to have myself a little nap. The only thing to do, really, after a nice toast.
Wow. Guy's out like a light. Wow. Wow indeed. Alright, so we meet Zigward, but there are other people that we can meet on our journey, and you know, they will eventually go down to Firelink Shrine, the Nexus area, where they can offer you their services and they'll help you more or less. Everybody remembers, well, not everybody, but a lot of people were very nostalgic about having Andre from the original Dark Souls come back. I was pretty nostalgic myself because, you know, look at this guy. He's just awesome that way. There are a whole select cast of characters and crew. I won't go into all of them, but you'll meet your trainers, your miracle and sorcery givers, but it's kind of on you to go find them. Zigward, he's the only one that pretty much you stumble upon each other, I guess is the best way of saying it. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, you will meet each character, I guess, has their own tragedies and pitfalls, and you kind of go in and you kind of fill in the holes yourself. I mean, if you want to. I guess that's the thing about storytelling in Dark Souls 3. It's not perfect, but I think it's meant so that you kind of fill in a lot of the blanks yourself, and a lot of it is up to interpretation. I don't want to talk too much about the NPCs, because I want to talk about the other people that you meet in Dark Souls 3, and that's other phantoms. That's the other people you meet. Zigward, he kind of represents a lot of the people who get stuck on a boss. You know, you have that sense of, I'm stuck, how do I defeat this guy? And there's nothing wrong with that, and that is reflected in a lot of people, especially when they're playing the game for the first time on their first playthrough. You will eventually come upon a wall, or a boss, usually, that you have no idea how to deal with. And, you know, you can just see them just sitting there pondering themselves, kind of like our Jolly Onion Knight, who, you know, they need a little hand themselves. And I'll be honest, guys, beyond the difficulty and the journey that is Dark Souls 3, it's the other phantoms, the other people you meet, that are playing the game with you that really defines the game, or kind of, I don't know, makes Dark Souls what it is. And I know that that is kind of contrary to a lot of the stereotypes. People think that Dark Souls is about being difficult and whatnot, but I really think that the people that you meet playing it, a lot of it very anonymous, they kind of define the story and the game for you. And the reason I say that is that, you know, for having played Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, I kind of gathered my list of stories of other Phantom players that have helped me and have challenged me when playing the game. A lot of the tips and secrets I would not have found on my own when playing it. Hold on, guys. Time to show some respect. Hold on. You know, I'm kind of glad that we have a demonstration. As you saw, he kind of just went in there, and there's no way for me to get in just yet. I'm going to try to give him a chance. As you saw, he kind of glitched a little, and that is not a mistake. That is an actual glitch that people do. I don't want to always say that people who do it are doing it on purpose, but I honestly don't even know how to do the glitch myself. Nonetheless, I think it's worth saying, like, guys, don't glitch the game. It's not in the spirit of the game. It cheapens you, it cheapens the game, and it cheapens cheapens the game for other people, phantoms that you summon with it too, and it's not right. It's not right. So please don't glitch the game. At least not on purpose. I can see people doing it on mistake, but don't do it on purpose, okay? So, anyway. I did not deserve that for 1 second. So, when I say that phantoms challenge you, there have been plenty of times where I was playing the game and I summoned a phantom, and I wanted them to follow the very strict, very safe route that I wanted to go. And much to my consternation, the phantoms didn't want to follow my very strict and safe route. They had other plans in mind. And when I say they had other plans in mind, I mean they had a route that they wanted to go, which usually wasn't safe. But here's the thing, they usually chose it because there was some goodie in there that they wanted me to go and get. And usually it was for my benefit. And when I say usually, I mean it was always for my benefit. Sometimes I appreciate it more times than others. But, ow. It was there, and most importantly, it was challenging me to do that Dark Souls thing, which is overcome, fight against your fears, learn how to beat that thing that you were scared to do. Go fight a boss that you didn't think you would be able to beat. And sometimes, you know, on your first get-go, you can't beat that boss by yourself. On your first get-go, you can't go into that one big scary area by yourself. And the game realizes that. And so they put in the system where you can summon in other people. By my sword, indeed. Coolican Dragoon wrote that in a comment. So, you know, people, like, it's part of the game feel free to use it. I mean, if you don't wanna summon people, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's okay to summon people, and you might learn something from them. They might teach you something. They might show you a little hidden passage that you've walked over plenty of times. I've done it myself. They might challenge you to fight that one mini boss or big bad non-boss monster, and they might show you a trick that you didn't know. I remember in Dark Souls 2 there was this one area, the Dark Gulch or something. Basically, it was that one area in the deep dark abyss where there were all these poison statues just spitting poison at you. And one day, I figured out that, originally the original plan was try to like roll past all those bad poison spitting statues, and I realized that sometimes if I had reach, I could clear them out more safely. But what was I going to use to do that? And it came upon me to use the whip, and the whip became my poison statue clearing implement. And when other people summoned me, I would take my whip out and I would start whipping skeletons, not whipping my hair, whipping those statues. And I noticed other people doing the same. And in turn, other people showed me that if you put fire in those dark little pools in that same area, you could draw out the monsters rather than playing a cat and mouse game with them, which was really cool. And I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Dark Souls, the series, is, it's all about learning the best tactic to fight not only that one boss, but to fight, the various different minions and baddies that you have to face throughout the game. And that isn't that life? Isn't that part of the journey that we go through? Am I being summoned or am I not? Probably not. I hit that button right at the wrong moment. Oops. So, another thing that I want to talk about is, like, I kind of felt like, as a person that usually likes to summon and help other people, I would get so focused on trying to help people beat the boss because, in my mind, I mean, isn't that what's it about? Fighting, people want to beat the level, people want to beat the boss, and that's what you do. You go and you fight the boss. And so I would only put down my summon sign near the boss area. And it took me a while to figure out, but I kind of realized that, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes there's a lot of rich experiences to be learned by putting your summon sign not at the boss area, but at the beginning of the level. And when you do that, there is a high likelihood that you will never reach the boss. Some levels that's more true than others. The Cathedral of the Deep is such a long level that it is extremely unlikely that if you start in the beginning, that you will be able to survive the long, arduous journey to clearing out the whole level and then fighting the boss and then surviving, because usually you'll have used up all your Estus flasks. And to be honest, I mean, it's not always about getting that fancy ember or getting that sunlight medal. That's cool and all, but I've had some of my most fun, best experiences helping other people get through the level. And I mean, it's not like you're not being rewarded for doing that. You are getting those souls, which are the currency you need to use to level up in the game. So there's that. And I honestly think it is way more rewarding just to get all those fun stories that that you get helping people with the level. And I will talk more about those stories when I'm not getting pummeled by a giant tree crotch, because I can't concentrate and fight at the same time. Alright, come on. You know, I think it's really sad. I used to think that this was a pretty difficult boss fight. And now it's just one that you just don't get distracted in. Ugh. Which, by the way, seriously... Ooh! Ow! What the... Usually they're all dead. Oh, New Game Plus. It continues to surprise me sometimes. Ow. Oops. Awesome. So, yeah, we were talking about people. Yeah, that's right. I remember. We were talking about people and the fun stories that we have. In particular, you will find this game, in some ways, it kind of restores your faith in humanity with other people. Pun intended. There is a area in the Cathedral of the Deep where you have to fight a giant. Or, well, you don't have to fight him, but you can avoid him. A lot of people choose to avoid him, but me, I'm a crazy guy. So what I would often do is that when people are running past that giant, what I would do is I would put the spook spell on myself, jump off the very high ledge down to the floor where the giant is, and I would fight them.
Welcome home, Ashley.
And my expectation was that while I was busy fighting him, while I was busy fighting them, the other people would take that opportunity, run away, and, you know, I would be the distraction. Well, one time, I was busy doing that little trick, and while I'm busy fighting the giant, all of a sudden I see that the host and the other phantom, I see their health levels just take a sudden hit. And, you know, between, you know, fighting the giant, I'm like, what happened? Why are they in such bad health? And I look over and I see that those two crazy bastards had decided that no, they weren't going to leave a man behind, so they had jumped off the ledge, taken a blow to their health, just to follow my example and help me. And I kind of thought that was a little stupid, but I just couldn't help but admire their gumption, you know, the insanity, because, you know, they weren't going to let me, yeah, they weren't going to let, you know, the RavingSaint go by himself. They were going to jump in and they were going to help slay a giant, even though it meant losing that much health. Either that or something got lost in translation and they didn't realize that you had to use the spook spell first. Because they didn't use the spook spell. They took all that damage. And that's nuts, okay? That is nuts. And I'm pretty sure that most Dark Souls all Dark Souls players have a story about a phantom that they've summoned who is another player, just like themselves, going on this Dark Souls journey, who did something crazy or spectacular, or did something that just completely blew their mind. And that's great. I think that is a wonderful part about Dark Souls. And while we're on this topic, I think we need to address the elephant in the room. And we need to talk about the other group of people who affect this journey and who make Dark Souls Dark Souls. And that's the invaders. We need to talk about the invaders. And the red phantoms or the purple phantoms or, you know, whatever you want to call them. You know, let me I'm going to give my opinion, and I kind of feel like it's slightly controversial, but I feel like it needs to be said. People need to respect and give more credit to those red and purple phantoms who invade you. I mean, it's too easy for people to see that you're being invaded, and they go, why, invaders, why do these people make life difficult? And they're often seen as like antagonistic or, you know, jerks or douchebags. And I mean, that is understandable. Dark Souls is hard enough as is, and now you have a bunch of people who, you know, they're doing their research, they're getting the equipment, and just as you're trying to get along and get to the boss, there's somebody else who's sharpening his sword, and he's looking to invade your world. And I can understand why that's frustrating. Believe me, I can understand it. But I also think people need to see it as an opportunity to, as a lot of Dark Souls players like to say, get good. You know, because whether we like it or not, PvP is part of the Dark Souls game. If you don't want to participate in PvP, but you still want to be connected online because you want the co-op, you're just going to have to deal with the fact that there are times beyond, you know, without your choice, you're going to get invaded and you're going to get attacked. And that is just part of the game. That's just part of the rules. And it might not be what you want. It probably won't be. I'm not going to deny that. But that's still part of the game. That's still part of the experience. And I mean, let's look at the facts, guys. A host, he can summon friendly phantoms, you know, to help him at the start of his journey. They can become part of the blue sentinels that, you know, are automatically summoned to help if an invader attacks. I mean, if you think about it, the odds are really stacked in the host's favor. It can be, not always, but it can. And invaders don't have a lot of those tools and options. They can, if possible, you know, wait it out. They can try to hope that another invader will show up, maybe, to help them. But that's kind of a forlorn hope, and in the meantime, they may very well be outnumbered and being attacked. There are a few times, because I've been a moon bro, a dark moon bro. There are very few times, I think, that an invader can reliably and assuredly feel that they are going to be able to have a one-on-one PvP with a host. So, all that to say, like, just because you're invading, it doesn't mean that all the cards are stacked in your favor. If you want to be a good invader, and it doesn't matter whether you're a Dark Moon Blade or, you know, a Mound Builder or one of the Rosaria's Fingers, you need to do your research. You need to challenge yourself to get good and be able to perfect a build where you think that you can consistently challenge and beat other people. When I was playing the original Dark Souls, I was in the Painted World one day, and I got invaded. And, I mean, to this day, I still get freaked out when I get invaded. I still feel that pang of panic whenever I read those dreaded world, you know, dark spirit so-and-so has invaded. So this guy invaded me, and he is wearing these long robes, and he's carrying a great sai. And I think, well, I'm dead. So I pull out my weapon, and I just bum rush him, and 1, 2, 3, he's dead. He's dead, and I'm left wondering, oh my god, what just happened? Did I actually win that? And this was when Dark Souls, the original Dark Souls on Steam, still had Windows Live. And so within a couple of seconds, I get a message, and the invader said, hey man, I'm sorry I didn't put up much of a fight. I'm still getting used to this. And without missing a beat, I was like, yeah, dude, it's totally cool. I understand. Only in Dark Souls could somebody apologize for doing a bad job trying to kill you and only could the other person totally understand because, you know, it's Dark Souls, everything's trying to kill you. And I think that a lot of players need to come to some point where, I'm not saying you need to enjoy being invaded, but you can learn to appreciate that that's part of the game, and that's just something that we should, you know, enjoy, to appreciate as part of the game, because there are other people, you know, who, in the spirit of Dark Souls, are making are trying to master another challenge. And yes, it's challenging you, sometimes against your will, but I'd like to think that all of us remember the first time we killed an invader. And that is often a stepping stone on deciding, hey, you know what, maybe I want to start trying to do PvP and enjoy that part of the game that I feel too often goes underappreciated. So that was kind of a long monologue. While we still wait to bro, because that's what I wanted to do while I talked about, you know, other players in the game. I wanted to help bro around with other people. I feel that in today's world, what's the words I want to use? In today's world, we hear so much bad news and just, you know, everything going wrong, and we don't take time to appreciate or acknowledge, you know, the good that a lot of people are doing. And I you know, that might sound odd because, you know, at least in the United States, people talk about, you know, like honoring fallen soldiers, honoring, you know, let me put it this way. When I hear the words honoring and remembering, it's often talking about people who gave their lives to do, you know, a heroic or wonderful thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think we need to acknowledge, not just as, you know, a nation, but as a global people, that, you know, as a species of, you know, several 7 billion people on the planet, that, you know, people are capable of doing wonderful, wonderful things. People are capable of doing great things, and they don't have to be, you know, earth-shattering. I mean, yeah, who doesn't enjoy hearing the stories about, you know, heroic deeds? But, you know, sometimes being a hero is just as simple as, you know, saying a kind word to somebody who's having a bad day. You know, we all get all teary-eyed and feel warm and fuzzies when, you know, we hear about, you know, just a little kid who does, you know, who out of the innocence and of their child hearts, you know, they do something silly for the garbage men, you know, trying to make their day. And there's, you know, that is a part of the world that goes underappreciated. I kind of feel like that's why people like cat and puppy videos so much, is because, you know, there's so much bad going on that, you know, they try to find whatever little cute, you know, thing to make them smile and make them happy. And to me, that just says that, you know, we as a global society, we're hungry for wonderful things. We want even those little things in life to make our day better. And like I said, sometimes it's something as simple as saying a kind word for somebody. Sometimes it's something as simple as, you know, I don't know, just something small, but you never know who might appreciate it. And that is also true in Dark Souls. So I want to acknowledge some of the crazy people that made my day while playing Dark Souls 3 in the short time that I played it. There was a forest hunter who invaded me, and I was looking to die. That sounds morbid, but I knew I was going to go into places where I did not want to have my humanity, and I was waiting for something to give me an excuse. Ouch. Oh, sorry, man. I was looking for an excuse for somebody to give me to basically take away my humanity, so that way I could just deal with, you know, all the baddies and die repeatedly, making mistakes without worrying about losing all my souls. And this spirit, I think his name was Corrupted Artorias or whatever, he invaded me. And I'm like, alright, great. Please kill me, because I've already fought off one invader. I was low on my healing, and I didn't want to go back. And I didn't have a lot of souls. So, this forest bro, he comes running up to me, and I bow down, because I want him to kill me. And he bows down too. So I sit back and toast. I'm trying to put myself in a vulnerable position. He walks right up to me and he toasts me back. I stand up and I'm like, I'm trying to get through his head like, dude, just kill me. And so, like, after a lot of staring and staring at each other, because he refused to make the first move, I finally did the collapse emote. And I didn't realize it at first, but this guy must have felt bad for me, even though all I wanted for him to kill me. It was a purely pragmatic decision. Well, what this forest bro did was he decided that he was going to leave me an ember. He left me an ember to use as a humanity because he just felt so bad for me because I was putting up a pretty pathetic display. And he left me an ember so I could turn human after he promptly killed me. That's a very cool invader. I mean, I don't invade often as a forest spirit or a red spirit, but I kind of feel like if you're going to do that, you know, hey, don't hold back, go out and kill people. You know, that's part of the experience. But you know, try to do it in a way that, you know, people will be like, you know, that guy, he might have shoved his great axe through my face, but he was a cool guy, you know, because extra props to those people who do that, you know. In the original Dark Souls, I got invaded by another guy. All I saw, I kid you not, all I saw was, the spirit's name was The Barrel. So on my screen, all I saw was you were invaded by The Barrel. Fear of the Barrel, that was his name, Fear of the Barrel. And lo and behold, I looked around and there was the enemy, a barrel, just sitting right there out in the open. And I walked up to him, and just sure enough, there he was, a barrel. He used that chameleon spell to turn himself into a barrel. And just at the moment that I think, oh wait, this is a trap, these pillars of fire form around me, and at this point it's much too late. The last thing I see on my screen before it says you died was the whole world turning into fire. And I died. And I could not help but laugh and, you know, just salute the guy, because, yeah, he made me fear the barrel. That was a very clever way to kill me. And there's a lot of YouTube videos out there of people showing pretty clever ways to, and let's be honest, pretty entertaining ways to kill people. And, you know, if you're going to do that in Dark Souls, go do that. So, yeah. So, whoever you are, barrel guy, I hope you're out there, you're still out there doing your shenanigans somehow, some way. Oh, shoot. Ow. There was another phantom spirit at this boss, no less, that I was summoned to, and I never got to see them at first. All I saw when I came out was just that there was a fog wall and the other phantoms were waiting around, and I did not have a chance to read his name. And it wasn't until after I crossed the fog wall that I saw my host's name, and my host's name, I kid you not, was a bag of kittens. And I lost it. I was not expecting a name like that. Bag of kittens. And so I spent the whole boss fight laughing like a maniac. And it got to the point where I could not even focus. I literally had to walk away from the boss because I was laughing too hard. I was laughing so hard, my ribs were hurting, tears were streaming down my face. And still the boss fight went on, and it got so bad that I'm dying almost literally. And 2 of the phantoms that he summoned, they died too. And we're just... I literally walked away. I walked my phantom away from the boss fight. And still, this poor host who did not deserve me, he kept fighting, and I, too, through the tears streaming from my face, we got back into the fight, and I was sure we were all going to die anyway. And lo and behold, we didn't. We didn't. We pulled through, you know. So whoever made that host a bag of kittens, you go. You go, bro. And I wish I could tell you all the stories that I have about, you know, because I'm sure that I know that's not all of the stories. There are plenty of stories, if, you know, judging by the number of sunlight medals that I have, which has to be, it's more than 12 guys, okay? I had over 50 sunlight medals on my first playthrough. You know, so that's a lot of people, and that does not even count the invaders. So I've talked long enough about people. I just want to leave you with these words. I mean, like, Dark Souls, you know, it might just be a game, but if it can show you, like, the joys and the tears and struggles and, you know, anger and frustration and triumph, the feelings of triumph, you know, in just co-op and invasions, I mean, that is just a reflection of a larger world we have. And as our world shrinks, as global communications become more efficient, you know, as we meet more people out there, you know, the world, yes, the world is going to become a more scary place, but, you know, just as in, like, Dark Souls, you know, we as a people have to decide that we're not going to let, you know, fear of the ignorance, fear of the unknown, fear of people who are not initially like us. We should decide as a people not to let that fear interfere with what could be very great, very treasured moments with other people, because not everyone out there is a bad guy. Not everyone out there is Patches. There are a lot of Jolly Solairs and Jolly Sigwards and, you know, people in need of help, people in need of aid, who are just looking for another fellow traveler, another human, you know, another person with a heart of gold to help them. And we should all strive to be that person with a heart of gold. We should all strive to be that person who is filled with humanity, who hasn't gone hollow. So I want to leave you with those words. I hope you have a good weekend. So thank you for joining me on this journey. And hopefully I will see you the next time I stream. So don't go hollow. RavingSaint out.